Thank you very much, colleagues. I have so much to say, but time is short. I could not make up my mind. I want to recognize any colleagues who work with me, anyone from United Refineries. We agreed that we would do it. If you are here, I want to say thank you. Thank you for coming to listen to me. We worked together the whole day. You are a real hero. To come again, upinde foot. It shows that, you know. My wife, I didn't force her to be here. She wanted to be here. I'm really blessed because you know you're good when your wife wants to come and listen to you, right? You know, you know, with the husband and wife, you know, you see it like it is. There's no, you know, there's no feja. So she said, I'm coming, I want to hear what you've got to say. So tonight I'm going to be on my best behavior as well. My presentation is in two parts, essentially. The first one is conceptual, talking about entrepreneurship. And now I don't have enough time tonight to really get into it. And as I was going through it, trying to pace myself, I saw that, you know, even if you gave me 3 hours, it wouldn't be enough. So I'm going to maybe just do 3 slides from the first part and maybe 3 slides from the second part. How's that? And then I think, like somebody, you know, I shared the second part of the presentation is about Bulawayo and some of the opportunities that I see. I give that talk whenever I'm given a chance to talk to people in business in Bulawayo, just to point to the things that I see, the things we should be talking about, the things we should look out for, things that could be of interest to us. And so I spoke at the Devolution Conference. I was using the same notes. I've shared this presentation with the Vice President. The only person outstanding is the President himself. But in Yeza, I'm still looking for time too. So I share this with everyone who is interested in the emergence of Bulawayo, who is interested in the emergence of Zimbabwe, because Bulawayo is in Zimbabwe, right? Anyone who's interested in the emergence of Africa, because Bulawayo is in Africa, right? So because the concepts are the same and they can be exported. So it's in 2 parts. The first one is this part where I talk about what I call foundational truth of an entrepreneur in an emerging Africa. And, you know, I could have given you notes, and I'm glad Jonah gave us some of the snippets, some of the powerful international flavor. These are not really flavored or carried. It's the grit. It's just the things that I've come across over 20, 30 years in business or in the sphere of business. And as I've been taking notes, these are the ones. I have many notes, but these are some that I've extracted for you tonight as an entrepreneur or as a business person or emerging business person or a person who's interested in entrepreneurship. So here they are. Okay, the first thing I do is I start by talking about an entrepreneur and what is an entrepreneur. I use these 2 words, entrepreneur and intrapreneur. The 2 words are really the same thing, except that an intrapreneur is a person who works inside an organization. If you work inside United Refineries, you can still be enterprising. If you work for Lobel's Biscuits, you can still be enterprising whilst you're working for Lobel's Biscuits. This will discourage people thinking that they have to leave organization in order to be entrepreneurs or to practice entrepreneurship. That's the difference. So I start, you know, just so we locate our conversation, I start by defining. You know, a good teacher said, when you start something, you must define your subject. So I want to define, what are we talking about when we say entrepreneur? I've said here, an entrepreneur is one who identifies and interfaces with a new opportunity or new opportunities to create a viable enterprise by mobilizing resources. A couple of keywords: identifying is very important. If you are an entrepreneur, you have to have a skill or an ability to identify, to see something that others do not see. You will struggle to be an entrepreneur if you cannot see. And there are some people who have their eyes open but cannot see. There are some people with a pupil, a retina, cones and rods, all the things we learned in biology, but they still cannot see. That's not the seeing I'm talking about. The seeing I'm talking about is an insight or perception. the ability to identify. Interface, that is to interact or to engage. So you see and you are able to engage with the opportunity that you come across, or the opportunities. You have to interface. There's lots of people, like you said, sir, that have ideas, but the ideas never manifest because they never interface with the opportunity. They are not engaged with the opportunity. An entrepreneur does more than see. They engage or interface with the opportunity. Opportunity is another key word, and I'll go past that. Viable enterprise, and then mobilizing. An entrepreneur must have the ability to mobilize, because people with the resources are not always the people with the ideas, right? So one of the things that an entrepreneur must be able to do is to see enough, is to interact or interface enough with the opportunity such that he is able to mobilize. It's part of the life of an entrepreneur. Some people say, no, I have an idea, but I don't have the money. That's part of your job. Part of the job of an entrepreneur is to get out there and mobilize the resources. Otherwise, we would all be entrepreneurs if when we have the idea, the money just appears. God didn't even make it that way. You have to go and mobilize. And part of the skill of an entrepreneur is to mobilize the resources to interface with that opportunity. I have a few notes there. I won't talk too much about them. You usually start a new business, one that didn't exist before, solves a problem. I think Mr. Nyoni mentioned it there. Businesses are there to solve problems. Mr. Gates is solving a problem of presentation that I would have had to do that thing that we used to do where they copy and then I give you handouts and then we do, but now you can take your own notes. I can keep my notes over here or decide to sell them to you. So this is solving a problem. He's solving a problem. A good business solves a problem. A good business takes away pain from people, takes away inconvenience from people, takes away difficulty from people's lives. The more you can do that, the better the business you have. The stronger your business, the more sticky your business is. Takes away a consumer pain point. That's what they call it in business school language, a pain point, a point of pain. Is there somebody, is there somebody who went through some pain today, somewhere, they were trying to get something, whether it's a queue, it's a long queue at a Greens. It's very painful. At the end of the day, where you've got a demon-possessed boss, and then you've got to go and stand in the queue for hours, and so on and so on. That's a pain point. And at a certain time, it's a pain point. Uzupko, yes. We are payla at a certain, so that's a pain point. How do you take away pain points? If you can list some pain points and create a business around removing that pain point, you've started enterprising. You've started the game of entrepreneurship. And I'm sure you can think of one or two pain points. Some businesses don't take away pain, they bring delight. But usually delight is associated with a lower, moving somebody from a lower point to a higher point. So, it's just that consumers sometimes don't know what they want. Now that I have an iPhone, I know I like it, but I didn't know I liked it before it was made. So sometimes businesses bring delight to us because they give us things that we didn't know we wanted. And those are some of the best businesses that I've seen around. Inventors, there are some inventors in this category, people who invent or bring new businesses to being. All right. Let's start with our toolkit. Now I'm going to go through these principles. These are principles that I've learned. I'm sharing with you stuff that reflections, my reflection as a person in business, having studied business and then practiced in business and then experienced business and then exposed. Mr. Nyoni talked to us about exposure. These are some of the things I've come across that are important or fundamental. I don't have time. There are 12 of them that I wanted to share with you tonight. But I'm only going to do 3. Because I'm more interested in questions as well. So I'll just do 3, and then the other ones I'll just show you just from Basela, just so you can see what they are. All right. Number 1, self-knowledge and self-honesty is the watershed of the entrepreneur. Self-knowledge, knowing yourself. And does anybody know who this man is? It's not Moses. It's not Moses. Biblical scholars yet. Does anybody know who this is? It's actually it was a drawing. It's a painting from a sculptor. They didn't have a picture of him, so they had to draw him. Does anybody know? Does anybody want to guess? We're in guess territory now, so you shouldn't be shy. We're guessing. If you get it wrong, we know you were guessing. Come on. Does anybody know? Does anybody know? Because I'm quoting him there on the first bullet point. Know thyself. That's what he said. Know thyself. Of course, he was speaking in Greek. There's a clue for you. You are speaking in Greek. But he said, know thyself. To know yourself. Does anybody know? This is Socrates. Oh, did you say it? Sorry, Natasha. I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you. You are the witness. Okay. All right. That's Mr. Socrates. Know thyself. To know yourself. I've got a couple of things there, and there are quotes that I've picked up. Some of them I can't remember where. Unlike Jonah, who is a scholar who collects and quotes accurately. So the greatest and longest journey is not the journey to outer space, but the journey to inner space. We were all endowed with stuff. God made us with lots of things. That's why he said to Abraham, if I get just a little bit scriptural with your indulgence, because I know this is a religious crowd. We have different people from different walks of life. But God, took Abraham outside and he said, look at the stars. He was looking at the stars, but God was telling him about stuff that was on the inside of him. He said, as the stars, so shall your descendants be. In other words, the stuff that was outside, God equated to what was inside Abraham. So this is I don't have time to get into that. For that, we have to change. So we have to, part of being an entrepreneur begins with knowing yourself. And I spend a lot of time studying myself. I used to have an imbalance, studying what other people have done, studying what so-and-so has done, and that's great. And there are a lot of books that they make us buy. Mr. Jonah, no offense, you're an author. But, we have so many books. And that's why the man in Ecclesiastes says, too much study wearies the soul. To books there is no end, my son, he said. There's so many books written, and there's a book for this and a book for that. But the greatest study is actually a study of self. Your biggest study is spending time with yourself, getting to know you. I wish I had discovered this much earlier on in life. Because why is this important? I will explain. I said to you that an entrepreneur interfaces with opportunity. It's very difficult to interface with an opportunity if you don't know yourself. When you interface with an opportunity and you have a thorough understanding of yourself, you are faster, you are sharper, and you can realize and appropriate the opportunity much more. The reason why people struggle is not because the idea is not great. It's just they don't know themselves very well. So they assemble the wrong team. So they don't know how to fit the pieces into the puzzle, because you are at the center of the idea. You are the promoter of the business. And the promoter of the business must be so stable in himself. In order to build a strong team, you must be self-confident. Self-confidence begins with self-knowledge. The reason why people will fight the person who's supposed to fund their business is because they don't have self-confidence. The reason why you will fight a potential partner who you're sitting next to but you don't know that well is because you're not confident in yourself. The reason why you won't share an idea that somebody can pick up and you work together is because you're not self-confident. Why are you not self-confident? It's because you are low on self-knowledge. Today, my dear friends, I invite you to go on a quest of knowing yourself, of studying yourself. And there are lots of tools, by the way, that you can use that are online that help you to analyze. There are some tests that you can take. Some of them are for free. Just say self-assessment, self-knowledge. You can even just put it on Uncle Google there. He'll bring up a bunch of websites that you can go and take tests. Maybe let me take some time here because this is very important and I'm big on this. Just yesterday I took a test. I've taken many of them and I shared it with my wife. I don't know whether she's read it yet. Oh, well, you don't have to answer them. I mean, you know, just use it as an example, you know. I take these tests very often because I'm trying to get to understand. I ask people, I check with people. I send it to a few of my colleagues. I say, does this resonate? Is this who I am? Is this who I really am? Because I've got a different picture. It's not exactly, okay, some of the things is okay, but is this really me? It's very good to understand yourself because that is the watershed. That is the beginning. Are you an entrepreneur? Are you a commander-style leader? Are you a shepherd-style leader? Or are you a bureaucrat? You know, those are 4 large classes of character profiles. To profile your character, what kind of person are you? Because if you don't understand that, you will find it difficult to engage with an idea. You will struggle to assemble the teams around an idea. Major on knowing yourself, major on knowing especially your strengths. I'm more for that school of thought. Now, there are different psychologists that will tell you focus on your weaknesses. I'm not from that school of thought. I'm on the school of thought that says look at your strengths. Major on your strength because you don't have enough time here on earth to work on your weaknesses. All right? So major, I'm just being practical here. Major on your strength, maximize and optimize on your strength. However, be aware of your blind spots. Because we all have blind spots. We all have things. Some of us are low on detail. Some of us are big picture thinkers. Some of us have got too much detail and not enough big picture. You know, usually commander style have red types have a big picture, low on detail. Blue types, they are high on detail but low on big picture. Where do you fit in? Go on a journey today, my dear friends, on knowing yourself. Because you are a big subject and you will never stop knowing yourself. Just like you cannot finish reading all the books on the earth, you will not finish reading yourself. The story of Abraham is still unfolding today. He's gone. He didn't have time to understand that he will affect people in Bulawayo. He didn't understand that. But God did. You are greater than what you think you are. I think Mr. Jonah mentioned that. It's you who will interact with the opportunity, so spend time to know yourself. All right, let me try and speed up. Entrepreneurs do not need permission or approval to invest time and money into an idea. They work on belief. Okay, I'll read it again. Entrepreneurs do not need permission. If you need lots of permission from your uncle in the UK, from your wife, from your sister, you are going to be very slow on interacting with an opportunity. Because business people don't, I'm not saying don't spend time, I'm not saying rush into it, but you don't need permission. Don't ask for permission, let me set you free. Don't ask for permission from people who don't have the power to say no. Why do you ask your uncle in the UK? What has he got to do with it? You can't say no. Even if he said no, it doesn't matter. You know, there are some people, everyone has an opinion of you, of what you can do, but don't get into the trap of thinking that because people have an opinion, you need their permission. Because we all get into that trap sometimes where we go looking for. Even if I'm your pastor, you don't have to look for permission from me. I know this is a controversial doctrine. But it's a Jesus doctrine. Because that woman with the issue of blood, Jesus' power left him without his permission. Even Jesus couldn't control what this woman got out of him. It's a principle in God. He's not a respecter of persons, he's a respecter of principle. Sorry, you're putting me in church. But I'm just saying.